I am Heidi Benjaminson, your host of Confidence Coaching, a podcast for mothers of teenagers who want to know they are making the right decisions. Life isn't a spectator sport. Success comes to those who show up every day with a pocket full of courage, grit, and a little sparkle. I'm glad you're here. Hello. Welcome to episode 116, Becoming. Happy New Year. This podcast is the first of 2022. I started this podcast in 2019. I just want to say I am grateful for all of you listeners, and I really do hope these holidays were ones where you could rest, relax, reflect on what you want to leave behind as we start this new year. If you're like me, I know we want to leave COVID behind, but it is still here. I hope that you're feeling as steady as possible going into this new year. I'm right there with you. There is still so much uncertainty. We're all wishing things would calm down. Now, just as I have been these last years, and for 115 episodes, I will be with you as we go forward and manage our minds, manage what we think, so we can show up as anchored as possible. So we can create certainty if that's what we need, or so we can learn to deal with all of this uncertainty. When this pandemic started, I felt so grateful that I had learned how to manage my mind regardless of what's happening outside of me. My coaching, my podcast, all of it will continue to be my work of helping women to be the confident anchors, the solid lighthouses that our families need in this tumultuous world. We are needed. And I believe we can do this work together. Recently, a client told me that her daughter told their therapist in a joint session that her daughter feels she's communicating so much better because her mother has done her work to be calm and communicating better. It really only takes one person to change a relationship. As our confidence grows, as we learn to have our back, as we learn to validate ourselves, our choices, when we learn to love ourselves, our children take note. They file this away for future use of how to respond and react. Our growth can change others, especially our growth when we stop needing to change others for us to feel a certain way. So I hope 2022 is the year that you'll do courageous change with me. I'm excited for this year. I hope you are too. Okay, today and much more this year, we are going to talk about becoming. Here's the thing, many of us want to be like a healthy, thin, active person. We just don't want to do the work to become that person. We all want the end product. I love the quote, everyone wants to be thin, but nobody wants to lose weight. Everyone wants to be rich, but rarely do people want to take risks, be vulnerable, come up with ideas, start companies, all the real hard work to make money. Most people, if given the choice between being given $1 million and doing the work to make $1 million, would choose to be given the money. And this makes sense because our lower brain wants us to avoid the discomfort of growth and risk and vulnerability. Our lower brain wants to conserve energy, so it doesn't want to do the hard work required to make the money. But real change, y'all, real priceless growth comes from us becoming a person who can turn ideas into business. Our growth is in becoming someone who goes to the gym every day or whatever it takes to lose weight. Real change is in the process. It's in the journey. It isn't at the end of the journey. In episode 85, I talked about a river of misery analogy that I've heard from other coaches. And in that episode, I share how the river of change, the river of becoming, absolutely may involve a lot of emotions that feel like misery. Change often involves emotions like falling down, discomfort, commitment, determination, vulnerability, and for some, this feels like misery. Our lower brain wants us to stay out of this river. I present this river to my clients in a way that makes more sense to us about the purpose of the river. It's inside this river that we become a new person. I want you to picture a big river in front of you, water flowing with a big current. You've got boulders, some rapids. We're safe on one side of the river. Now, let's use a bunch of examples here, okay, so you can understand what is going on. My oldest children are finishing high school and they're starting college. Before starting college or any education, we're all standing on one side. And let's say that we want to go to college, we want a college degree. That college degree is a piece of paper that's on the other side of the river. Now, sadly, in 2022, we could all probably buy some piece of paper on the internet with a college degree. We don't actually want that piece of paper. We want what it represents. We want to become an educated person. That degree represents that we've successfully crossed the river. So using the college example, let's say it takes 4 years to get a degree. So 4 years to be in this river of becoming. It's inside the river that our children learn to prioritize their time. They learn to work with others in group projects. They learn to advocate for themselves. They learn to maybe cook or clean and live on their own. They learn how to write and edit papers. They learn what they're really interested in or not. They learn how to do presentations, how to turn work in on time, how to plan and schedule, and how to study. Think of what you learned in your years. These are the things that buying a degree online or any devious, false accreditation is missing. It's inside the river that our children become new versions of themselves. They become people who probably also seek learning their whole lives. So now this river makes a lot more sense. The rocks and the boulders are critical. The struggles with roommates, changing majors, all of it is important for who they are becoming in these years. Now, some of you maybe didn't walk in graduation because maybe you were sick or you started a job early and couldn't make it to the actual ceremony. All of that is really just pomp and circumstance. The actual degree doesn't make us think or feel any different. The muscles of learning and growing don't come from that piece of paper. They come from navigating and pushing through the river. Now, just this week, my son in college has made some big changes in his plans, and he's transferring colleges, and he's had to navigate a lot of change quickly. He's had to learn about signing a lease for an apartment. He's had to figure out how to transfer classes. I helped him a bit. He actually doesn't like my help that much. But when he asked, I helped him to know the questions to ask about his lease. He set up advisory calls. He was told he had filled out one wrong application, and the college fixed it for him. Some of these are strong currents in his river of becoming. I don't want to take him out of the currents. They're making his muscles grow stronger. He's learning by doing and pushing through. These are just a few things that anyone learns in the early years of adulthood. Now, it's really easy to use weight loss or maybe gaining muscle as an example because most of us at some point, we've maybe wanted our bodies to look different. Now, for the sake of the river example, let's say we want the scale to be 20 pounds lower than it is now. We want to lose 20 pounds of extra fat. The number that the scale shows and the composition of our body before, that's like on the beginning side of the river, on one side. It's important to realize our minds, our thoughts, our beliefs about ourselves, our current habits, our current activity levels, and our current strength, and of course some genetics, are what we have created at this beginning side. What we believe and think today is what we have created. Now, in terms of weight loss, we think we want the scale to read 20 pounds less. We think we'd be happy to just wake up tomorrow with the dream body. In reality, though, we'd wake up with the same beliefs, the same commitment, the same cooking and exercising that is with us on the beginning and the before side of the river. So if we woke up with our magical goal body tomorrow, we'd slowly or maybe quickly change back into the body that's consistent with what we think and identify as in the beginning. So instead of really wanting that body, what we really want, well, if we want permanent change, is to have a completely different head. We want to become a different person. We want to have different beliefs, to think differently about our bodies. We want different habits. We want to move different, to eat more vegetables, to drink more water. We want to become someone who can lose weight. This is why quick fad diets don't work. They don't produce long-term results. If you aren't working first on what you think and believe and how you identify as a person, the results won't stick. It's inside the river. It's in the becoming a healthier person that I learned how to say no when food was offered to me, even if it was my very favorite and maybe the person would be sad. In my river of becoming, I learned that I don't want to disappoint myself. Instead, inside the river to lose weight, we may need to learn to try new recipes. We may need to learn about macros and other nutrition. We may need to figure out that certain foods inflame our bodies. Inside this river, we become someone who plans food, maybe tracks food. Inside this river, we become someone who can weigh themselves, and regardless of what the scale says, we stay on plan. Inside the river, we become people who go on vacation and make new choices, and maybe become people who come home and get right back on track. If you want to become someone who keeps the weight off, we have to see the number on the scale as just a data point. It isn't our value. It isn't even some magical place which will bring us happiness. It's inside the river we realize that number has no effect on us. It is us who makes the number mean anything. And what an amazing and powerful muscle to be developing, this river of becoming. Imagine learning this about your weight and how you can apply that then to every area of your life. When losing weight, we become people who are disciplined. I learned how to try different exercise classes. I became someone who could run 5Ks and even ran a half marathon. I became someone who believed those things were possible. For myself, the biggest changes for my body have been realizing how good I feel to exercise, how good it feels to be strong, and how I hope I'm active until I die. I was just climbing a mountain in Ireland, and my sister-in-law and I, who has the same goals that I have, she and I were discussing how we want to be doing this in 40 years. I've become an active and healthy person. I've become someone who brings hiking boots and running shoes on vacations. No number on the scale can do this. It was one step, one decision after another in a river of becoming this new person. So yes, the process of us becoming a person who achieves certain goals will involve commitment. It may involve a lot of discomfort, even though our brain from before may want us to jump back onto that comfortable shore. We become people who can sit with discomfort. We become people who can feel these emotions, and we don't need an external false pleasure to take it away. My client, Suzanne, I'm just going to use her real name because she's awesome. And let me say, you need to listen to our interview in episode 73 if you haven't already. Suzanne lost over 60 pounds in the first year of the pandemic. Oh, geez, can you believe that we're now referring to the first year of the pandemic? We realized recently that she has sat through, processed, and not given into tens of thousands of urges. Do you hear that? She has become someone who doesn't need food as her entertainment. She's becoming someone who's active, who likes how she feels. She has become someone who eats consciously. And she'll say it over and over. All of the best work has been her thoughts, her identity, what she thinks about her body. It's inside this river of becoming that she's become someone who likes herself. And friends, for most of us, this is harder work than we might think. This is the real reward. We've worked together for her to uncover exactly what unconscious things that she's thinking, what makes her uncomfortable when maybe other people see her transition. And she's doing the work to be very anchored and committed. Because guess what? Everyone isn't going to like it when you reach your goal. When you do get to the other side of the river, when you become the type of person who can start a business or who stops people pleasing, or when you start achieving your dreams, it may feel lonely as you become more anchored. People who only know us or are comfortable with us before our changes, they may feel insecure or intimidated. These are not our bags to pick up. We are not responsible for these emotions. If we make these insecurities our problems, we unconsciously sabotage our success. We can be the light and shine from the other side of the river. As an example, it isn't your responsibility to make other people follow you in changing. They may, but they may not. My podcast is now at 116 episodes. 3 years ago, I probably would have said, yes, please. I want to jump to the other side of the river. I just want the success of tens of thousands of downloads. Give it to me. If this had been given to me, I would have missed out on becoming someone who can handle very uncomfortable vulnerability, someone who's consistent no matter what. I would have missed out on figuring out a lot of tech issues, cover art, learning and improving as I interview and edit. I would have missed becoming a much more disciplined and confident person. I would have missed becoming someone who types up episodes on planes, in cars at soccer practices, anywhere. I don't want a podcast as much as I want to become someone who publishes a valuable and consistent podcast. Recently, my husband and I did a 12-day challenge at Orange Theory, the gym that we go to. The first 12 days of December, they had a challenge that if you attended 7 classes in the first 12 days, you got a winter beanie hat. We both got our hats. We were proud of ourselves, not because we got a hat, but my husband especially was proud of becoming someone who fit exercise into a busy day, becoming someone who wakes up earlier than he wants to exercise, for becoming someone who keeps his word to himself and really becoming a healthy person. It isn't about the hat on the other side of the river. It's about becoming the person who earns the hat. This is the time the world makes goals and resolutions, the beginning of the year. I get it, even though I don't love all the focus. I want you to take time focusing on more than the goal and the steps you need to take to reach it. Write down, who do I need to become to achieve this goal? If your goal is to write and publish a weekly blog, you're going to need to become someone who writes daily, or at least weekly. You're going to need to become someone who can handle discomfort and vulnerable emotions. You will need to become someone who can handle getting accolades and criticism. You need to become someone who publishes imperfect work. The blog isn't the goal. Becoming this person is the goal. If your goal is to be more connected to your teenager, you need to become someone who doesn't need someone else to say or react or act in a certain way for you to feel connection. You need to become someone who gets curious, learns to ask questions, learns to listen more than talking. You may need to become someone who sees and sits with your own insecurities. Becoming this person, regardless of how your teen responds, is an incredible gift to them. You become an example of being emotionally anchored. Okay, take a piece of paper and write before or today on the left side. Now draw a river and on the other side write the goal. Now, in the middle, inside it, make a few rocks and boulders. List at least 3 emotions you are going to need to feel as you work towards your goal. Are you okay feeling these emotions? Are you okay becoming someone who changes? Someone who's focused and committed? Are you ready to feel discomfort and also pride in yourself? Be specific with who you will need to become to reach the goal. For many of us, reaching our goals means we have to come head to head with limiting beliefs. We have to learn to keep commitments to ourselves. And friends, let me be very clear. This is so hard for me. I am so very much working to become this person. By the end of this year, I'm going to have 2 sons in college. I want to become a confident mother of 2 sons in college. I want to become someone who's handing over life responsibilities to them. I want to become someone who projects confidence and doesn't stress the small bumps in the road. I want to become a business owner whose income provides for these educations. I want to become a mother who's anchored as her children leave the nest. I am, and I want to further become a woman who has roles and purposes beyond motherhood. Knowing this helps me recognize the emotions and the struggles I'll have, and I can make strategies to deal with them. They aren't signs to return to the before or that first shore. The uncertainty and the not knowing what's going on for my children on a daily basis means I'm doing and becoming who I want to become. It may be hard, and it's the work that I want to do in the river. Now, before I close, I want to make sure you know we don't set goals because we need to improve to be worthy or to be better or to be more vulnerable. Guys, I say this with so much sincerity. The work of becoming is us realizing what has always been inside of us. We're stripping away what doesn't serve us, and we're becoming us 2.0 because it's who we want to be. We don't change and become for other people. That never works. Do this work from a place of loving who you are today. Love yourself through the whole river. Love yourself as you make mistakes and as you stumble, get wet, maybe go underwater. And love yourself for building resilience. Love yourself for trying again and again to figure out your children. Love yourself where you are today and know you are just as worthy and valuable on the other side. No amount of outside accomplishments, worldly degrees, and goals reached make us any more lovable and valuable than we are without those things. That's it for this week. I have 2 spots left for private coaching. My clients have done this work, and this year my clients will become new versions of themselves. If you would like personalized weekly private one-on-one coaching to become anyone you want to become, sign up for a consult call at HeidiBenjaminson.com. A confident mother is the greatest gift to her family, not a perfect mother. Our families want us to feel confident, anchored, and calm. I can help you uncover this version of yourself. Have a great week.